Hey, welcome to Cornbread and Roses, y'all. This is your friendly neighborhood organizer, Austin. It's good to be here, to be safe after all those tornadoes. Um, and I'm here with Jason.
Hello, comrades.
And we got a guest tonight, Al from Alabama Progress. How you doing?
Doing good. I hope everybody is doing well as well.
And just as a reminder, we are the most unprofessional podcast here in Alabama and possibly the world. Yeah, we got some things to talk about tonight. We got a week of legislation in the House and Senate down in Montgomery. We got the storms that just happened throughout the South, and got a couple other things to talk about electorally and a whole lot of actions that are taking place. And, yeah, as a matter of fact, I was at an event today with Purple People Resistance up here in Huntsville, and I was so honored to get to speak today. And, you know, what did I talk about? Talk about the same thing every time, Pinky. Working class and us working together and exercising our collective power. And when we fight, we win. So yeah. So with that, I guess we'll roll on into the legislative session. Find this, and there's a few bills. My personal favorite this week was it is being funky on me. My personal favorite bill this week was in regards to fire chaplains, and just had an image of Warhammer 40K fire priests of some sort roving about Alabama.
Yeah, it's to give a specially designated license plate to fire chaplains. So, yeah. That does make me think of Warhammer 40K. Fire chaplains.
I played some video games last night. I haven't played video games in months, and I got to play some Wolfenstein, and couldn't remember what the run button was, the shift button, and I died about 400 times before I finally remembered. Oh yeah, it's not the left click on the mouse; it's the shift button, and yeah, finally made it, and I took a break after that. Maybe I'll pick it up after we get off here tonight.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we got a few bills. And what are our highlights this week, Jason?
So most of these bills are pretty procedural stuff, like the giving the fire chaplains a designated license plate. There's a whole bunch of, Alabama doesn't have home rule, so there's a lot of local stuff that only applies to this board of education or that county or things like that. So there wasn't anything there wasn't much. Let's see what I had listed as the highlights. So HB 209, sponsored by Representative Susan DuBose, Republican from Hoover, who is also behind the What is a Woman bill. So she's not a good person, but she expands. A bill passed in the House to expand jury duty exemptions to nursing mothers, and that was as a result of the backlash after that one nursing mother was basically bullied by a judge for not being able to attend jury duty because she was nursing. So this goes to show you that if enough people get outraged about something, things can happen. But I support the bill. Yeah, the bill passed 103-0 and goes to the Senate.
Which they better pass that unanimously. I mean, they get some things right every now and then.
Yeah, it's not, things aren't always completely hopeless. It's possible to get good legislation passed, even in a state like Alabama. And so don't ever give in to despair. So HB 251, sponsored by Representative Mac Butler, Rainbow City, who's another one of these diehard conservative people, prohibits convicted sex offenders from accessing the internet and allows the Board of Pardons and Paroles to conduct polygraph examinations as a term of release. It passed 90-0 and goes to the Senate. So preventing somebody from accessing the internet altogether, that seems a bit excessive to me. And I'm not one of these crazy libertarians who has strong feelings about age of consent laws. But I mean, so much of our economy and so much of our life happens on the internet now. To cut somebody off from that feels like it's a bit too punitive to me.
Well, can I cut in real quick on this one? So
of course,
even in like a lot of places like fast food joints, they now have the option to order via a screen. Does that stuff not work via the internet?
Yeah, I feel
so it turns into this whole thing where it's very nuanced, and it goes back to the expression how we treat the least of us. And I understand the extremely negative connotations with sex offenders, absolutely. But with that being said, you start looking at the ladder. They can do it to them. They do it to the next rung up. You're looking at BIPOC communities. You're looking at indigenous communities. You're looking at poor communities until they start just working their way up the ladder. Then it's not just them, it's others.
that's the foot in the door, so to speak, right? And, there is a workaround with this. I mean, maybe that person gets a laptop through the state office of some sort that's locked down and monitored or whatever, so they can still do business. So this seems like it could have been thought out more.
Yeah, I mean, I could see banning certain people from accessing particular sites if they're deemed to be a threat. Maybe
social media.
Yeah, maybe, but banning them from accessing the internet altogether seems like a bridge too far.
Yeah, like I said, they start there and then they work their way up the ladder. This is a stepping stone to far worse things, because then who's a threat? It starts there with like a socially acceptable standard of people that are less than desired, and then it works its way up slowly. So I'm against it on that premise that this is just a stepping stone to worse things.
So if you try to ban felons,
if you protest against Israel, or you protest for Palestine, however you want to put that, like Mahmoud Khalil, they could definitely pass something along those lines. I definitely hear what you're saying now. So what else we got in the breach?
So SB 88, sponsored by Arthur Orr of Decatur, who is my senator, allows the judge to set a hearing on a petition for a criminal expungement, even if a prosecutor or victim files no objection. So it's just something that pointlessly makes it harder to get criminal expungement, or your criminal record expunged. The bill passed 30-0 and goes to the House. Again, there's just this bottomless desire to heap punishment on the heads of undesirable people. Like, you make a mistake, you go to prison, you serve your time, you try to get an expungement, and you're just making it procedurally slightly harder. It's not like a terrible burden, but it's still a bit of a burden. So now, go ahead.
So the thing becomes there is that, like you said, it's an additional burden. And for some people, that additional burden is not so great. For others, that could be absolutely detrimental to their whole existence. And this is something I refer to as the fetishization of law and order, is that you are continuing to punish after the system of crime and punishment has run its course. You want to add more roadblocks after the fact. Like, there is a very creepy obsession with punishing people more and more, harder and harder, more roadblocks. That doesn't make any kind of logical sense.
Yeah, I concur. Like, I don't like making it harder at all. Like, and a judge can set a hearing. It's just a hearing on a petition. But yeah, this could easily become a burden. It could be selectively applied. Like, judges would be more likely to set hearings on petitions for particular kinds of defendants. You could see that being abused. So yeah. Let's see. There's HB 233, sponsored by Representative Alan Baker from Bruton, which I have bad stories about Bruton. I should tell you someday. Bruton removes the requirement that the threat must be credible and imminent from the legal definition of a terrorist threat in the second degree. The bill passed 90-0 and goes to the Senate. So again, like, you have this creeping criminalization, where now, like, a threat doesn't have to be credible and imminent to count as a terrorist threat. So now somebody just getting mad and popping off could easily run afoul of terrorist threat laws, which already happens. I already have seen cases where somebody got into a shouting match with their neighbors and then got charged with making terrorist threats.
Jesus.
Yeah. This will undoubtedly be abused. Undoubtedly.
100% agree.
Yeah, the definition of terrorism, like, and again, like, you know, as people who speak up for Palestine, you have to worry about, they're going to call us terrorists for doing that. And they're going to say, you're with Hamas.
Well, Israel has sent a list to the State Department of folks already. And yeah, I thought they wanted to bring comedy back. You know, what happened to that? Yeah, I can definitely see this being used here very soon in conjunction with whatever protest, because removes a requirement that it must be credible and imminent from the legal definition of a terrorist threat in the second degree. It's people are going to get hurt by this real quick. But you know, are they going to apply it to the neo-Nazis and accelerationists out there?
Probably not. That would be my guess. Now, you can say whatever Nazi thing you want to say.
And the terrible thing about it is, it goes back to, you know, people joke on it very hard, but I mean, it's the truth. Meemaw's got to fill that $1 billion prison somehow. And what better way than to expand the, you know, obsession with law and order and the punitive culture of, you know, the Alabama state governing body in its entirety.
These folks wouldn't know restorative justice if it bit them in the ass. Right. So, what else we got, Jay?
So the bill that we've talked about HB 202 in the past, 202 in the past, sponsored by Representative Rex Reynolds from Huntsville. It expands civil immunity for law enforcement officers. So this bill would basically make it impossible to sue police officers unless they really commit egregious rights violations. The bill passed 75-26 and goes to the Senate. The Alabama Democrats, to their credit, really stepped up and tried to oppose this. There were several moving speeches on the House floor where black legislators shared their experiences with police officers. But in a body with a Republican supermajority, there's only so much they can do. A significant number of Democrats did vote against it, 75 to 26. This was one of the few bills that didn't pass overwhelmingly. So we've talked about it. We've talked about this bill before.
Yeah, I remember talking about this, and it's a shame. Like, it's, absolute immunity is what they're shooting for law enforcement. And if anything, they should be held to a higher standard, which they're not. And the good thing, though, is things like this can be overturned and removed. But it goes to the Senate, there's still a chance that maybe some of the senators filibuster this, or we apply pressure to the Senate to get them to not pass this bill.
This bill was something that Kay Ivey called out in her State of the State speech most recently. This is something they placed a high priority on getting done. So it's worth calling and pressuring your senators to vote against it, but it's probably going to happen. And
yeah, it's a long shot for sure.
Yeah, Kay Ivey is waiting for this bill to sign it.
But we have to do our best to push back. We can't just sit and be like, yeah, it's probably going to happen, but we have to try, because it is on us, all of us, Alabamians, to really rebel against this, because this is going to be used as a sword to attack, there again, marginalized communities, BIPOC communities, indigenous communities, LGBTQIA plus. That way, when the police are being white supremacist, or they're being whatever you want to name it, fascist, authoritarians, there's no blowback. It's just, oh well, what do you expect us to do about it? And that's not acceptable. It should not be acceptable for any Alabamian, period, to just be like, yeah, they can be authoritarians and they can be, Gestapo 2.0. It's fine. It's not.
It's not fine. No, I absolutely urge you to call your state senator and ask them to vote down this bill when it comes up. You never know. Things have happened in the past. The gambling bill last year failed in the Senate by 1 vote. So, stranger things.
And this is.
I'm curious about the constitutionality of something like this, because I remember reading through it and it talked about constitutional rights and whatnot. Not a lawyer, no legal advice is to be found on this place on this podcast. But beating the crap out of somebody and then being able to get away with it from qualified immunity, and then now qualified civil immunity, and this goes back to one way to fight back against the system is through lawsuits and getting their insurance premiums raised. Because I guarantee you a lot of this is connected to cities having to spend more money on insurance for law enforcement.
For sure.
So what else are we looking? We got a few more, I think.
Yeah, a few more. The very next bill on the list is HB 265, sponsored by Representative Joe Lavorne of Auburn. So this bill does several things, but the thing that concerns me the most is that it raises the penalty for resisting arrest from a Class B misdemeanor, punishable by up to 6 months in jail and a $3,000 fine, to a Class A misdemeanor, punishable by up to a year in jail and a $6,000 fine. So it doesn't take much to get charged with resisting arrest. And a lot of times when police arrest you, they'll just start saying, stop resisting on their, so their body cam will pick that up. Like, how many times have we heard stories about people being arrested and their only charge was for resisting arrest?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem, because you could be laying on the sidewalk, no longer existing as we understand existence, and it would still be screaming at you, stop resisting, and you would still catch the charge.
Exactly.
So that seems like, there again, another way to feed the $1 billion prison and hurt marginalized communities. Like, this is systemic racism and bigotry and misogyny abounds, and shamelessly so at this point. Like, you're not even hiding it. And if you are, you're not hiding it well. This is bad.
Yeah. A year in jail on a cop say so.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, going to the Senate. Speak up, y'all. Forever hold your peace.
Yeah. So the bill does other things too. It raises it to a Class D felony if you brandish a deadly weapon or injure a person, and a Class C felony if you use a deadly weapon or cause a serious injury to another person.
So I have a curious question there. What are they defining as a deadly weapon? Because we could be talking butter knife and a skilled set of hands, or a claw hammer, or a baseball bat. I mean, household items. What are you determining to be deadly weapon? That premise, I hope it's not that vague. I hope it lays out specifically what is considered a deadly weapon versus a non-lethal weapon, because that's not good either.
So I have no idea what the court precedents are, but the legal definition is an object capable of causing severe injury or death.
That is a lot of things.
That is a lot.
Like, that's like
Yeah,
90% of the tools in my garage.
Yeah, if you're Jason Bourne, it's just a pencil.
You're right.
So, and again, according to, I'm reading this out of the definition of assault in the first degree with intent and a deadly weapon. A deadly weapon is a firearm or anything manifestly designed, made, or adapted for the purposes of inflicting death or serious physical injury. The term includes, but is not limited to, a pistol, rifle, or shotgun, or a switchblade knife, gravity knife, stiletto, sword, or dagger, or any billy, blackjack, bludgeon, or metal knuckles. So baseball
I don't
bat.
hear spear. I don't hear spear in there. So
I don't hear spear in there. Includes, but is not limited to. So I don't know why people have decided that gravity knives are the most dangerous thing you can have. They don't seem that bad to me compared to other knives, but what do I know? But yeah, baseball bat would certainly, I think, be included in that. Any sort of tool like a hammer that you could use to significantly injure somebody. I'm sure the courts have ruled that a deadly weapon includes those types of items.
Jeez, that is almost everything. I mean, unless you got a pool noodle handle, or something, just there again, it's broadening the scope of the law for more punitive culture to fill up that $1 billion prison. What, God, they are just railroading it through, aren't they?
Yeah, it's quite disturbing.
Yeah, it's grotesque.
The increase in resisting arrest is very concerning to me.
Because that's vague.
That's very vague. It's a police officer saying that you resisted. It's your word versus a cop's.
Yeah, and who loses every time?
Right, exactly.
This is, this is where if you're having a rally or a protest, legal observers, other people with cameras, other witnesses, things like that come in very, very strongly. So y'all remember that when you're out there planning stuff. All right. Who else we looking at here?
So the Glock switch ban is going to the Senate. It passed the House 77 and 23. So that's SB 116, sponsored by Will Barfoot from Montgomery. So Glock switches are already illegal at the federal level. So this would make them illegal at the state level as well. So it seems, I'm not sure. I mean, it's probably worth doing, but
yeah, like what takes the burden off the federal system to charge people and you put it at the state system. Because aren't those state prisons that are being built? We want them full up, not the federal ones.
No money to be made on that end.
Yeah, exactly. What are they? Are they just calling it the KIV prison? Like, what the hell are they calling the memorial prison? Like what are they actually calling it?
I have no idea, but I bet it's grotesque.
The new facility will be known as, hang on a sec, the KIV Correctional Complex.
You.
I know. Imagine having a prison named after you. I mean,
that only sounds nice.
I know, right? But what kind of person is honored by having a prison named after you? I would be horrified if a prison were named
a racist. That's who. Yeah. An old white racist, hands down, all day long. Because the incarceration rate is higher for people of color, so that just screams racism to me, like in a big old ugly rainbow, just racism.
Yeah, just extreme indifference to the lives of other human beings.
Is she gonna call the other? Is she gonna call the other one the KIV Correctional Complex Junior or something?
I don't know what the other one's going to be called.
Prison Boogaloo.
Yeah, that's right. Part 2, Prison Boogaloo. That's right.
Well, that's funny. It'll probably be named after some racist a-hole like KIV.
Who knows?
Oh, it could be justice, the Chief Supreme Court Justice. That'd be a good candidate right there. The Dominionist himself. All right. So what else are we looking at over here?
So there are a couple of the things related to immigration. There's HB 302 sponsored by
real quick before the immigration. I saw this one piqued my veteran ass, which we assumed sponsored Senate Bill 67, sponsored by Andrew Jones, Republican Senator, reforms the State Board of Veterans Affairs to change the membership and powers of the board. Bill passed, and it's going to KIV. And this is we talked about this before, where basically she's taking power. There's a kerfuffle between the president or commissioner of the board and mental health with veterans, and so she got what she wanted, and she's in charge of the State Board of Veterans Affairs now.
Yeah, absolutely. They passed this bill. They passed this bill in 10 minutes. They didn't spend 10 minutes on it.
Tells you everything you need to know right there.
They did get some pushback, though.
Yeah.
Just not enough.
Yeah, I'm glad you called that out.
So we were talking about, next we're going to talk about HB 302.
Yeah. Requires companies that hire people without legal status to register their employees with the Department of Workforce and provides sanctions for employing people without legal status. So it's just something to punish the undocumented. So wait, if you so hang on a second. If you hire somebody who doesn't have legal status, you have to register your employee. So you have to basically, it's like the Al Capone income tax
Snitch
trick.
on yourself.
You have to snitch on yourself, yeah, and face sanctions for doing this.
Do
So,
what?
yeah.
And so much for Republican free enterprise, right?
All right, 81 to
For
0
real.
this bill passed. So yeah,
I'm merely
like the Al
engaging the
Capone
free market of
income tax.
labor.
Where like even if you earn it illegally, you have to pay income taxes on it and report it. You have to report that, oh yeah, I made all this money through extortion or whatever.
Do what?
Oh yeah, that's
what they got Al Capone. Was they got him on tax evasion because they ruled that the money he made bootlegging was income and that he owed income taxes on it.
I can't even with this one. I got nothing.
So yeah, just people trying to work a job and make their lives better. So similarly,
their lives, their families' lives, their communities' lives. I mean,
absolutely.
There was a last week in Huntsville. There was an ICE checkpoint, and they were just stopping and searching only work trucks out there. So y'all keep y'all's head on a swivel. Yeah.
Remember the words. Remember the words. La migra.
La migra.
Yeah. Chinga la migra.
Yeah.
I will say,
it seems that they're. Go ahead.
That this is just another thing that's blatantly racist and targeting marginalized communities, because it's not going to be just, Latinos. It's going to be anybody that is any kind of, darker end on the shade of wheat scale. Anybody, and it doesn't matter what their actual status is. This is going to go horribly, like everything else so far.
Well, yeah, hell, up in New York, they arrested some guy saying he was a legal Jamaican immigrant just because he was black. So it's wild, man. It's just fucking wild once you open your eyes up to the ridiculousness and the disgusting behavior and the racism. It's like,
oh yeah,
you just see it everywhere.
It's wild and it's evil. Absolutely evil at its core.
Preach, brother. All right.
So there's another thing that's touching on immigration. HB3, sponsored by Representative Chip Brown from Hollanders Island, a place I had never heard of.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, it does sound nice. I wonder if it's actually an island. Let's see, Hollanders Island.
We'll have to, we got to figure this out. I mean, whenever, that's the thing though, is now, the word island is also, there's a lot of, it's tainted too, because hashtag Epstein's Island. It's like, damn, people can't even go to islands anymore.
All right. Hollanders Island does not appear to be an island.
Of course.
But it is in Mobile.
So there has been a running theme of blatant racism and all of our, bills that we've looked at so far. I wonder if that place is a bastion of white people. I do wonder. what their demographics are.
What?
All Hollanders.
Hmm.
Let's see. Hollinger's Island. What are the
We're
demographics?
answering the tough questions here, folks.
Exactly, the burning question. Well, I had never heard of it before. It's in Mobile. The community does not have a Wikipedia
So maybe
page.
it used to be an island, and then they put a whole bunch of dikes there and turned it into land.
And it's wild to me to hear that it's in Mobile, because I have met some great people from Mobile. I mean, I understand not everybody's going to be great like that, but I'm a little surprised.
Yeah. But this one enhances penalties for people without legal status when they are charged with a felony where the victim is a minor. I mean, this is already a crime. You know what I mean? Like legal status, no legal status, felony, misdemeanor, So
Okay. So I'm sorry, but the plot thickens. There is no English language Wikipedia article about Hollinger's Island, but there is one in Cebuano. And if you don't know what Cebuano is, it's a language out of the Philippines.
What?
So there's ceb.wikipedia.org. I believe that's Cebuano, and it looks like Cebuano. Sometimes I have a hard time telling Tagalog from Cebuano, but because I'm not well versed in Filipino languages.
Well, I put $1 on them being related. The Hollanders from Mobile finding their way to owning an island out in the Philippines as well.
That is wild.
So
what else we're looking at here?
I'm sorry, I've fallen down the rabbit hole.
No, we love rabbit holes. That's where rabbits live.
So they're both part of the Austro-Indonesian family. I had a roommate who spoke Tagalog and was from the Philippines, and she was my favorite roommate ever. We never had any kind of drama or anything. It was great.
I had a very good friend from the military that was Filipino, and I served with several Filipino folks, and I love just about everybody I served with. People from all over the world.
So yeah, but I mean, long story short, if you want to read about Hollinger's Island on Wikipedia, you have to be able to read Cebuano.
That's awesome, actually.
I wonder if I'm pronouncing the name of that correctly. It's not Cebuano, is it? Let's see what Wikipedia has to say about that. It is Cebuano. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
All right, let's get focused again.
I'm sorry.
We're going down the collective rabbit hole now.
Yeah. Well, like I'm a huge linguistics nerd, and so I like to know about other languages and things like that. And so I'm just curious. But it is Cebuano. I've been saying it wrong my whole life.
I introduced etymology.com to one of the kids this week. We talked about the word agenda. And, I was guessing it was Greek for some reason, but of course it's Latin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, one last linguistic tidbit, and we'll move on quick. So, no, this is one of my favorite bits of derivational morphology. So the NDUM and NDA, it's a way of forming words in Latin that mean things that must be X'd. So agere is the Latin word for to act or to do.
Yeah.
So agendum is a thing that must be acted upon. And agenda is the plural, things that must be acted upon. So you also see it in Cato's famous declaration, Carthago delenda est, Carthage must be destroyed. And it literally is, Carthage is Carthage is a thing that must be destroyed using that delenda. So from delere, which means to delete or to destroy. So I always like that it has that Latin has a suffix that means that which must be xed. Then where x is whatever verb you happen to put in. So
they were they were certainly precise with the Latin.
Well, Alabama, we have all learned something together today. If you did nothing else, you learned that.
Yep.
All right. So what else are we looking at here?
So that I think was sort of the end of the list as far as, just to end on a somewhat positive note, there was SB 138 sponsored by Roger Smitherman out of Birmingham, which prohibits occupational licensing boards from denying licenses based solely on a criminal conviction, unless the crime is directly related to the duties of the profession.
That is a good note. That is a good note right there.
So it'll be even if you got a criminal conviction, it's easier to get a license. They can't just say, "Oh, you're a convicted criminal. We won't give you a license," unless you were, I don't know.
If you were charged with assault, you cannot be a chiropractor.
Yeah, or if you, I'm trying to think what would it take to get banned from doing cosmetology work.
Using toxic chemicals in your stuff.
I don't know. Stab somebody with a pair of scissors or something. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Stealing the cosmetics themselves. I don't even know. But yeah, that is a good note. There was a couple other education-related ones that I noticed that students can get exemption from certain athletes signing for National Signing Day or going to an apprenticeship or a few other things. And this last one here, Rep. Gianna Ross, Republican Gunnersville, requires local education agencies to allow students to enroll in dual enrollment programs if a parent or guardian requests it and establishes student eligibility requirements. That dual enrollment is when you get to go to college and high school at the same time. Get past 30-0, and it goes to KIV. So another good one for the books. We got 3 good ones out of all of them. We got the nursing moms, criminal convictions for licensure, and some education stuff for kids to be able to get exemptions and be able to go to college. So pretty good for Alabama.
Yeah, take the wins where we can get them, right?
That's right. That is right. I did see another interesting one. I don't know if y'all noticed this one, but this here, Alabama Senate approves bill allowing gold and silver as legal tender. So it's kind of old timey. I'm like a little throwback. You know what I mean? We might be getting close to the gold standard again, especially with like Trump's visit to Fort Knox and the rise, the downfall of the stock market as the rise of gold goes up. So yeah,
This is like goofy libertarianism.
I got to chime in on this one because I'm no economics expert. Let me be clear in that. However, I will say your average Alabamian does not know the price of gold or silver by the ounce off the top of their head at any given point in the day. This will lead to a lot of bad deals, like Donald Trump levels of bad deals.
I tend to agree. That gold or silver coin one day might double in value and you not even know it.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is the reason we got off the gold standard, right? Like, we wasn't for no reason that we stopped doing this. And also, as of now, like the American economy is worth more than all the gold on the planet. So that's a significant problem.
Yeah, that kind of defeats the whole purpose of this particular bill, doesn't it?
So yeah, I mean, are we going to carry around hack silver like the Vikings used to have, where you would wear like silver bracelets and then cut off a little bit of it and put it on the scale and see if it weighed as much as the weight?
I reckon. I
Go
thought
back
we were
to
supposed
that.
to be moving forward in time, not backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, it brings a whole nother dimension to bling, like wearing some bling and chewing it off and spitting it down onto the countertop to pay for your potatoes. Some other things. We'll move on to a few other things, y'all. Friend of the pod, Mr. Ryan Cagle, he wins the Democratic nomination against Miss Watkins for the Senate District 5. And they coming up in June is going to be the general election. But yeah, he won with 62% of the votes, 222 votes to 137 against Sarah Watkins. And he's the person who got the only Narcan vending machine in the state installed. And something I like to hear right here is that he would have been happy with either outcome because Watkins would have also fought for the working class. But it's now time to work hard to fight against the business interests. So just hats off to Mr. Cagle and all he's doing and stepping up and trying to wrench back some power from the oligarchs and corporatists that are out there. So salute.
Yeah, Mr. Cagle definitely seems like a very good human being, at face value for what interaction that, I have seen of him. He seems like a kind of good person who will work towards what Alabamians actually need.
I will co-sign that. I think that's a good idea. I think that's a real good idea. He is a very busy man. He's got he's finishing I think he's finishing a master's degree and runs Jubilee House and is also a pastor and he's got a family and so we need to get him on. Hopefully he can squeeze us in. You know what I mean? And a little follow up on that, we got another special election coming up. We got Don Fallon right there, Alex Braswell right there, and Keith Albright right there. And Ms. Braswell is the Democratic candidate, and the two Republicans are the two white dudes. Big surprise. But she's an American Sign Language interpreter. And the other one's Keith Albright. He's a lumber business owner. So he's got probably a lot of timberland that he don't pay much taxes on. And former member of the Coleman County Board of Education, Don Fallon. He's a retired U.S. Army colonel. He did 30 years. But this is coming up here soon. The primary, obviously, Ms. Braswell automatically qualified in the primary. She's the only Democratic candidate. And she just got a quote here. I know that I'm a Democrat, and I know that could be a disadvantage, but whomever you voted for president between yourself and God, she said in a phone interview last week. I just looked around my community and I saw we needed an advocate. It's what interpreters do. So hats off for her for stepping up. And You can look. They don't. Do they mention the dates? I read this and I don't recall seeing the dates. But there's another special election coming up. Here we go. Qualifying period ended Tuesday at 5. The special primary will be May 13th, and the special general election will be on August 26th. And then right after that, we've got local elections in a couple months later. And I hope there's people out there that are thinking about running for office and starting to take some power back. But the storms, I'll tell you what, it was dicey over here. There was a lot of puckered buttholes, and it's a little worrisome for a while, and it did look like at least 3 people lost their lives in the state. So I hope their families come together and heal through that grief. But how did y'all make it through the storms?
So the Center for the Unhoused that I volunteer at was open so people could have a place to be out of the weather and someplace safe to stay while the weather was bad. So I spent most of yesterday there and just helping to run things and helping to get people fed and that sort of thing. And so I was pretty insulated from the storm. It was in a brick building, so it would have taken a lot to smash through that. And I couldn't even hear the rain outside, although I looked outside and it was raining plenty. So we got a couple of tornado warnings, but they went away pretty quickly and everybody made it out whole.
Hey, that's outstanding work, showing up over there and volunteering and helping folks. I hope y'all are getting some more volunteers over there. We should probably maybe work on a campaign to try to get some local folks over there more interested in helping.
Yeah, hands across Decatur. If you have any free time or if you have any free money that's not burning a hole in your pocket, we need both volunteers and money to keep things going. We provide a day center, so we're not a shelter. We just provide a day center. We happen to be open for a few hours yesterday while the storm was going on, and we provide food and clothing and other services as needed. So yeah, I've been volunteering with them for the past, it's probably been about 4 or 5 years now. And yeah, I feel like we do pretty good work and got a pretty good relationship with the community.
Sounds good. How do y'all fare in your neck of the woods?
Well, up here in rural North Alabama, it got a little dicey for a second because anybody who's lived in Alabama for any amount of time, you could hear that whistling, and you're like, "Oh no, here it comes." But fortunately for us up this way, it turned out to be a whole lot of hullabaloo about nothing. We did lose power for probably an hour or 2, but that was the it of it. No damage, no trees across the road, nothing crazy. Extremely grateful for it. But, my community and the community surrounding seem to be, for the most part, entirely unharmed. And I'm grateful for that. But this is your friendly reminder, if your community was harmed, get out there and help them in every materialistic way you can, even if that's being a shoulder to cry on.
Yeah. And we got one of our organizers. She's got a group together because I think downtown in Huntsville, there was some damage in around the 5 Points area. So we got some folks trying to organize around that and help. And we actually had a DSA member 2-3 weeks ago. They had through the last storms, the tree landed on their house and, man, knocked out their power, ripped the box off, and damaged their roof. And they said just trying to manage through the bureaucracy of trying to get the power back installed, but can't get it installed till you get an estimate, can't get an estimate till you get a permit, can't get a permit till you get an estimate. So, yeah, all the folks out there struggling through that, y'all hold tight, don't quit, and yeah, because if the current regime has it their way, FEMA ain't gonna come for you. This is an article from a couple months ago. Trump wants states to handle disasters without FEMA. They say they can't, which is correct. I mean, it's such a ridiculous, logical, I don't even know what the hell to say to it, illogical idea that you want the people that just had all their roofs blown off or whatever to be able to fix everything. Like, no, that don't make sense. And it's one reason why we pay taxes is for a good government agency out there that actually does good work and helps people in the most dire of circumstances. And we're going to see more and more extreme weather events. And we still got at least a month and a half, 2 months worth of tornado season to look forward to around here. I hope this is the only one that comes through. But, you know, if the past is any indication, we will definitely still have some tornadoes come through in the next couple months. Yeah, Trump and Musk trying to get rid of the whole system, and we got to fight against that. So maybe take it upon yourself to leverage the situation and bring it up to your elected officials in the Senate and the House about how important FEMA is to the whole nation and all the good work they've done. And another thing is we've had some folks run some preparedness classes, you know, making a bug out bag, having a plan. We actually, our family, we bugged out to the little storm shelters down the road, but guess what? Both of them were full up, so we got turned back. But thank goodness we live in a little brick house, and you know, nothing touched down around here. So yeah, when these things occur, make sure you bring it up to your local politicians about the importance of community preparedness. And, you know, something I saw looking around, if I can find it. Where did it go? Oh, my goodness. Oh, here we go. There is an Alabama storm shelter tax credit that's out there available. So just FYI, folks. We also have servealabama.gov. It's the Alabama Governor's Office of Volunteer Services, which is increasing the ethic of service and volunteerism across Alabama. And there's some resources here, but also how to volunteer. if you're so inclined. And there's it's through AmeriCorps, which is another decent organization in my opinion. So yeah.
And Alabama is currently experiencing a shortage of volunteer firefighters, especially in rural areas. So if you ever wanted to be a volunteer firefighter, now is a great time.
Yeah, and one of the bills that just passed was actually tuition assistance for volunteer firefighters and first responders. So, you know, you do service to your community and also get a little more education for yourself.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
That's right. If you ain't learning, you're losing. I'll tell you what, like learning about the different endings of Latin words and how they come across.
And I've learned that I've been saying Cebuano wrong my entire life.
And now you're a much better person because. But just a FYI, FEMA, Alabama falls under Region 4. And I checked on the site about any news in the media about anything, and there wasn't anything there. And of course, FEMA.gov is being updated to comply with President Trump's executive orders. Thank you for your patience and understanding. Sure. But another little tidbit that Alabamians will be. Well, before we get to that, we just finished through the Bloody Sunday event. There was a big get-together down in Selma, and I haven't seen a whole lot of reports of it. And then there was a march throughout the week, this past week. But at the Selma event, the panel urges Alabama to expand voting rights for people with criminal histories. I wholeheartedly agree with this. I think if you are in prison for whatever reason, that you should still be able to vote while you're in prison. That's my opinion of the situation. As a matter of fact, if you start working at the age of 14, you should be able to vote.
That's right. No
That's
taxation. I agree.
Right.
And, they let prisoners vote in Australia, and their civilization has not collapsed.
Imagine that.
So, if it's good enough there, it's good enough here.
But yeah, program manager for the Democracy Truth Project, with the National Chapter of League of Women Voters. The panel is one in a series of democracy-focused seminars commemorating the 60th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, when law enforcement beat civil rights protesters on Selma's Edmund Pettus Bridge as they begun a planned march to Montgomery. Might be time to maybe rename that bridge. I don't know about y'all. It was hosted by the Transformative Justice Coalition. The day began with a backwards march led by Reverend Kenneth Sharp in Glasgow, founder of the formerly incarcerated People Movement. The march started on the Montgomery side of the Edmund Pettus Bridge towards Selma. And I really wish I got to go down there. I'm a dad and family, and it's certainly hard to break out and get into the community as much as I want to and make that ride down to Montgomery. But I tell you what, if I could do it more, I would do it more. So I'm definitely going to try to plan next year and prioritize getting down there to experience the event and meet people and listen. But here's a quote. It's important to know that they have these draconian laws that continue to govern the way that we should be able to vote, said Rodricia Ressal Glasgow, Executive Director Society, a nonprofit organization that advocates on behalf of criminal justice reform. It's founded Kenneth Sharp in Glasgow. It really diminishes and takes away the power that people have. I'll say this, there's probably some organizations listed here that we need to add to our coalition list, y'all. So let's keep that in mind here the next couple of days, because I'll probably forget about it as most of my brain is probably full of holes by now. And, but as I was kind of mentioning, fix this. We got a couple things that Alabamians can look forward to embracing or bracing for. The Alabama farmers brace for impact as China's tariffs take effect. China raised tariffs on U.S. grown products from 10 to 15% Monday. The import tax will be on products like chicken, cotton, and corn. That sounds like us, don't it? So Alabama businesses will be taking a hit on this. You can expect, increasing costs, lack of sales on the other side, and which would logically lead to jobs being gotten rid of. So, yeah. But not just China, folks. Whoa, damn it. Not just China, folks. We also got the EU, the European Union. The European Union is targeting red states with tariffs, and Alabama, the red state that it is among them. Alabama is one of the states being targeted in the European Union's current round of retaliatory tariffs, the latest move in a quickly escalating trade war with the United States. The EU on Monday announced 2 rounds of potential tariffs starting April 1st. The Union plans 50% tariffs on imports of American whiskey, motorcycles, and motorboats starting April 1st. Second set of levies would start mid-April on goods such as chewing gum, poultry, beef, white chocolate, soybeans, carpets, and watermelons. The list of products runs to 99 pages. Canada also placed 25% reciprocal tariffs on steel products, raised duties on tools, computer equipment, sports equipment, and cast iron products. I wonder if they use soap on their cast iron up in Canada. Tariffs or taxes. But yeah, so Alabama's got some tariff difficulties to deal with, and the stock market last 2-3 weeks has been suffering, and on Friday I had a slight little rally, but I've been reading this book called Lords of Finance about the bankers who broke the world, and it's about what led to the Great Depression and the economic drama therein. I'll tell you what, this will make a great show for HBO or maybe Apple Plus. They do pretty good work, but incredible book. Highly recommend it. Lords of Finance, Bankers Who Broke the World. But the Depression started with a 0.5 interest rate decrease in 1927. So these tariffs and the stock market crash, it wasn't just one day. It was over weeks and months, and it had rallies, and then it would go back down. So what we could all be in the middle of right now is very possibly a recession, and very possibly leading to a depression with this ham-fisted fiscal policy that we find Musk and Trump enacting. And but it also seems that that's their plan, is to do these things, to erode 401ks, along with trying to get rid of Social Security, but to eliminate any and all power economically that folks have built up over time. Because one thing's for sure, whether the stock market goes up or down, rich folks make money off that. If the stock market's going down, they have the skills and wherewithal and knowledge and money to short stocks as they go down, so they make money. And when it's going up, they just call their broker and they go around, and now they're buying the stocks that they just shorted as they go back up. So whether it goes up or down, the rich folks make money. It is the working class that have any investments or whatever that suffer. And it seems like they really don't care. You think oligarchs care about you? I've got some beachfront property in Arizona, as they say. So keep your eye on that, folks. Yeah. I think we're getting close to ending here. I did have one last little thing I wanted to talk about. And I read this article earlier this week, which I found really, really, really inspiring. And these are the types of things that I talk about, building local policy and running for local office, especially this November. These are the type of things that can be done. Can other cities replicate Seattle's win on green social housing? So I'll read a little bit here, but in our current political climate defined by deregulation and privatization, Seattle voters took to the polls and surprised the nation with a massive win for public goods. In a landslide victory last month, residents voted to create new green social housing developments funded by corporate taxation. I mean, that sentence right there, right? Seattle is one of the several cities across the nation that have turned to the social housing model, which creates permanently affordable homes owned by a public entity, nonprofit organization, or the tenants themselves in order to meet growing housing needs. Traditionally, building affordable housing isn't easy. It has been frequently made possible through federal programs like vouchers or low-income housing tax credits. I'm not going to try to pronounce that as an acronym. LICT. Oh, LICT. Okay, maybe that's what it is. FEMA. A program that incentivizes corporate entities to invest in temporarily affordable housing developments by providing them with federal tax credits. The program is known to be effective, but critics consider it competitive, complicated, and costlier than units developed with vouchers. Under the Trump administration, proposed staffing cuts and stalled funding from the Department of Housing and Urban Development have sparked uncertainty about the future of many federal affordable housing programs as well. Under these conditions, Seattle's pro-housing activists seem to have pulled off a miracle, battling corporate interests and fears from existing affordable housing developers. Campaign leaders have effectively made Seattle the first city in the country to commit itself to this novel housing model. So I wanted to read that. There's more to the article, as you can see, and it gets a little bit more into the weeds about how these things work. But yeah, any thoughts, folks?
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's great news, honestly. But y'all would be a little more educated on that. But I did want to touch back on tariffs real quick because you brought that up earlier.
Yeah,
so,
please. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good. It's that when you think about things like soybeans, right? It might astound people to know that if your cattle or chickens eat feed, as opposed to just grazing on grass, there is a lot of soybean meal in feed, like for all of your like respective livestock. When you talk about things like steel, look at any farm or even backyard garden and think about how much steel you have out there. And what if you're building a house, you're building a building for a business or any of that, and this is going to hurt mom and pop shops a lot. This is going to hurt small farmers a lot. This is going to hurt the people who have entered into free prize enterprise just so a lot. Now you got multi-billion dollar companies. They'll be fine. No, they'll survive this. But the working poor, the lower middle class, middle of the middle class are going to be hurt very, very badly over time by the tariffs, because it affects more than you realize. Like how steel gets used in conjunction with this, that, and the other. How soy is in this, that, and the other. Start breaking through your pantry and see if you see soy on any of the ingredients in the ingredients list. It's very commonly used. So yeah, these tariffs are going to bite us in a hard way.
Well, yeah, and that's like my little theory, right? Is that it's not just my theory, but the theory is that they're doing all this to also, because like JD Vance, he's invested in this company called Acre Trader, which goes around buying up bankrupt family farms. And the theory is that they're trying to bankrupt as many folks as possible through either mortgages or small business, so they can come and scoop up and continue cutting the working class out there of whatever property or assets that they have. So yeah, co-sign on that there, Big Al. So yeah, I think that about does it this week, folks. Coming in at a slim 117. How's Alabama Progress Server doing, Al? I think didn't you hit?
Yeah, 500. We hit 500 community members over the weekend. I think we're now up to 502 community members working together for a better Alabama. So I am certainly very proud.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate your work and you being such a good communicator and pushing the notion that the working class come together and fight for basic human decency. We need more folks like you out there doing these things and connecting people and getting people involved and activated. So much appreciated your work. And
I'll leave you with a quote. I'll leave you with a quote on that one.
Okay. I was going to say,
what's the website you said?
Quick?
Alabamaprogress.org. That is .org. And to solve myself off with a quote here, build it and they will come. So the infrastructure exists. Just show up, help build it out, find your people. It's very simple. You don't know where to start, just hop in. You will find friends who will help guide you.
That's right. We all start from zero with this stuff. All it takes is you having a curious mind and a little bit of time on your hands, or a little bit of money, or I tell you what, your time's more valuable than the money a lot of times, and your ability to get out in the community and help folks. That's how we're going to win. That's how we're going to change the game. But yeah, I appreciate your work, and I'll drop the website in the chat. everywhere. And yeah, very appreciative. And congratulations on hitting that milestone. Now it's time to set that next milestone. Ain't that right?
That is absolutely right. And thank you.
Jason, what you got going around in that big old noggin of yours?
Well, I got a couple of things that I'm looking at. Number one, so just on the Alabama gubernatorial front, Tommy Tuberville is seriously considering running for governor. He would almost certainly have the endorsement and campaign support of Donald Trump. So he is considered to be a front runner for the race if he wants it. There are reports that he has kind of gotten tired of the culture in D.C. and having a schlep back and forth from Alabama to D.C., especially since his...
Oh, that poor baby.
I know, right? Well, he just had his first grandchild, apparently, so he's not wanting to spend so much time on the road. So he's thinking about running for governor, and he is already considered the front runner if he gets in, which is bad news for Will Ainsworth, who's been running for governor for the past 8 years as lieutenant governor. So Ainsworth has
always the bridesmaid, ain't he?
It couldn't happen to a nicer guy. He says he's going to run for governor no matter what. So there could be like a super heavyweight clash in Alabama politics next year with Ainsworth versus Tuberville.
Oh, can we do some manifestation here? Can we manifest Saban running against him in some kind of weird gubernatorial iron bowl?
Saban is probably also a right winger, though. I don't know Saban.
Yeah, I know.
But he probably also is equally right wing.
He's definitely he does come from West Virginia, and he did speak against some unionization down at the Tuscaloosa plant. But I would still like to see some weird iron bowl action happen. I don't think he'll do it at all, and I kind of don't blame him. But
So yeah, Governor Tuberville. There are a lot of people who support Ainsworth. Scott Stothagen, who is my representative and also the House Majority Leader, was on the Dale Jackson show, if you know who that is, earlier this week, and was saying that Will Ainsworth will be the next governor, so presumably he has his support. So there's that. So yeah, it could be like a pretty hard-fought gubernatorial battle. It looks like Tuberville may be our next governor, though. And the other thing that I'm paying attention to is, so Nicholas Perkins, who is the brother of Steve Perkins. Steve Perkins was killed by Decatur police in September of 2023. And Nicholas Perkins has been talking about running for the mayor of Decatur, which would be a very welcome change. However, he has delayed his mayoral announcement because Councilman Billy Jackson is considering running for mayor as well. And if Billy Jackson gets in, then presumably Nicholas Perkins would support Billy Jackson instead. And if Nicholas Perkins endorses anybody, then that's who I'm looking at to be mayor for sure. So I'm paying attention to the Decatur gubernatorial race. Tab Bowling keeps making missteps. They got rid of Chief Todd Pinion. He stepped down rather. But Mayor Bowling replaced Chief Pinion with a man named Nattis Carlisle. He was the Alabama A&M University police chief from 2017 to 21 before being fired. And he was fired for putting students and staff in danger and refusing to respond to calls for assistance in certain areas of campus because he disagreed with people who were there. So that's who the interim police chief is. I know, right? That's who the interim police chief in Decatur is. So Tab Bowling keeps making missteps. He just keeps stepping on that rake, and it keeps hitting him in the face. So it would be nice to see him step down as well. But either Councilman Jackson or Mr. Perkins as mayor, I think would be positive steps for the city of Decatur, and I would like to see that very much. And I will happily work for either one of them, depending on who decides to run. And that's sort of it for me.
I'm going to try to highlight a few things real quick before we get off here. I was at this today, We the People Rally, Purple People Resistance, but all week, congressional recesses up here, organized by Indivisible, Alabama 5th District. And we got events Monday. Where Are You, Dale protest at his office in Huntsville. Protect Our Veterans at UAB Huntsville, 4 to 6 on Tuesday. That Where Are You, Dale is 11:30 to 1. Protect Our Families protest 11:30 to 1 on Wednesday at the Huntsville Hospital for Women and Children. Protect Our Pocketbooks at Publix on 350 Hughes Road from 4 to 6 on Thursday. Friday, Protect Our Federal Workers 4 to 6, Redstone Arsenal Gate 9, Bridge Street Town Center. And this one right here, who is that right there? Is that Alabama Progress Town Hall meeting organized 6 to 8 at the El Opry Event Center, 24861 Airport Road, Athens, Alabama, Saturday the 22nd. I plan on being there. I might be there as a legal observer. Not 100% sure what my role is going to be, but we also have county board meeting on Tuesday for the library, and we got a state board meeting on I believe the 20th down in Montgomery at 9:30. We also have our weekly economic blackout, and every Friday, as it says, stay away from the corporations, support BIPOC, women on the LGBTQ and local businesses, and let's rob them blind every week, every Friday. Down around the Shoals area, we got some community meals going on from March 15th to April 5th. Cypress Point, Carver Homes, that was a couple days ago. Sweetwater Ridge, Saturday the 22nd. Saturday the 29th, Handy Place, and Magnolia Gardens on the 5th. And you can go to bit.ly/Let's Eat for Free to check that out. Also happening, we got down in Birmingham a Stronger Together March for Immigrants at Crampton Bowl. Not Birmingham, Montgomery, my bad. Crampton Bowl Stadium in Montgomery, Wednesday, March 19 at 11 a.m. Stand up and speak for the immigrants. And you can go to bit.ly/2025 AL March for that. And you can see we got quite a few organizations. I'd say probably primarily by the Alabama Coalition of Immigrant Justice, that are working on that. These are probably some other folks that we need to talk to. I'd say Al. Another, if you've not seen, there's volunteer opportunities on mobilize.com, and I'm going to highlight real quick. We got here with the Alabama Forward folks. They've got all kinds of events, March 18th, March 19th, texted, Intro to Power Building teams, hosted by Black Voters Matter. And these are online events. So if you're not somebody who can get out easily, like myself, you can take part still in helping the working class get power. One last little event before we say goodbye. leadership during Women's History Month. I didn't say Happy Women's History Month this month. Dadgummit. With Congresswoman Terry Sewell. She's Alabama's 7th District. Invites you to the Ultimate Ladies Power Luncheon. Special guest Congresswoman Lucy McBath, Georgia 6th Congressional District, and an anti-gun violence activist. And there's some suggested contributions, so to understand how some of these things go. Maybe we should do some suggested contributions, y'all. Wednesday, March 19th, 2025, in RSVP. So yeah, little meet and greet and fundraiser for folks. You know, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be giving no contribution, but hey, I got the money for it either. But yeah, I think that about covers it for this week. Coming in at a slim 131 on our time tonight. Yeah. Any final words, Al?
Yeah, make sure you all are liking and following these guys' videos. What they're doing is educational, it has purpose, and it's for the good of the community and Alabama as a whole. And anybody who's working towards that goal has my full-fledged support. So please, do your part, engage with the content, follow it, and that'll be all from me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for saying that. That means I don't got to say it. Jason, you got anything else?
Happy belated birthday. Yesterday was Austin's birthday.
Oh my God. Yeah. I appreciate that.
You're getting a voice recording.
I know, right? Oh man. Yeah. I'll tell you what, they were a whole lot funner when I was younger, but I got to be with my family. I got to blow out some candles. I got to hear some laughter and smiles, and honestly, like that beats anything else in the world I could get. Is seeing happiness on my family's face. Yeah, with that, folks, like I say, all the power to all the people. We the people break our chains together. Solidarity forever, folks.
Solidarity forever.
Solidarity forever.